Hey guys, get lots of questions as to how do you build a cheap controller? How do you build a reliable controller? Here we go. So I built this one. I brought in a bunch of these to use, and I was in question as to their reliability. I would probably stay away from them. They have too big of a temperature variation spread. They claim it's 3.5, and I found it 7, I think is the best, 7 or 8 degrees. So you want to stay away from them. If you're going to buy one of these controllers, spend the money, buy a Honeywell, like I use on my big cooler. I like to run my coolers between 32 and 38. I'll show you here. So this is my big walk-in. Using a 15,000 BTU. It's a 7x9. 15,000 BTU air conditioner. I run 2 Honeywells on it. They work great. Get into the settings later. So, heard lots of questions. I'll show you this. This is another AC project I'm working on. So, two sensors. This is the original evap sensor out of this unit. This is the secondary sensor. Goes down inside the core in a little tube there. Gentle with those. Wrap this one to a light bulb first. This one secondary. So the light bulb takes the place of the coolbot heater, right? Light bulbs are cheap. These little night lights, you just got to cover over the light so it runs all the time. This is an old extension cord, wind-up extension cord housing I had kicking around. I had to fix it to use it, and I thought I'd sacrifice it for the project here. So this is wired into the STC 3008. Cheap controllers. The reason you want to use these, let's take a look at it. So you have 2 sensors. You have your power supply in, you have sensor A, sensor B, then you have your outputs. So, sensor A, sensor B, they're the tiny little wires there. That's going to tell me what either sensor is at. So what am I going to do? I'm going to run the first one. The first one's going to be run as my evap. So you're going to stick it into the, spread the cores with the pencil gently in between the tubes and insert that into your evap core. Secondary one's going to hang out in the room. Don't have it in front of the stream. Have it off to the wall as far as this thing will reach out. These are nice. I brought these in for my my appliances that I run in my meat shop. They're cheap. I think you can get 15. You just got to make sure that the resistance matches. But I brought in 15 of these for about $12. They're cheap. So this was a 110 unit. They usually have a check right there. It's worn off because I've been messing around with this thing. So power comes in from my wall. Comes into the black cord. It's an old extension cord I cut up. It comes in. We have black, white, and a green. So your earth or your negative is the green. Green is connected to the green. And it's going out to my extension cord. Black comes in and goes to the left side. White comes in and goes to that side. White just continues on and jumpers into the extension cord. So black out into black, the first relay, because these relays have to be powered. This green is just for a jumper wire. So comes into here, out of there to power the secondary relay, and then back out of there and into the extension cord to power the light bulb. So how this works, power comes in. These 2 temperature probes will basically set your temperatures. One for the evap. If it freezes, it'll shut it off, or if the room gets too cold, it'll shut it off. Power comes into the first relay. These are a little tricky because you have to wire up the relay, come out of that relay and wire up the secondary relay, and the power continues. So power comes in, power goes out. It's just a jump like this into these and runs. If these parameters are met, and the evaporator core, which is always your first, it freezes, it'll shut the power off to the secondary relay, and it'll shut the light bulb off, and it'll turn off the air conditioning unit. It doesn't physically turn it off because you still have the air conditioning unit plugged into a solid power supply. So you tape the thermal couplers from the air conditioning onto the light bulb. This is a 7-watt light bulb. And it's a incandescent, so it gets relatively hot. It does have a delay in itself, for instance. The delay is built in by the amount of time that the light bulb takes to heat up to trick the air conditioning unit, and it also takes time to cool down to trick the air conditioning unit. So that's a delay you have to take into consideration. I built this unit just to test, to see, I was in question of those Everwell or whatever they are that I brought in. I just wanted to see if I had another secondary issue. This proved my theory. A lot of the late model air conditioners, like Danby and Premium Air, they have what's called a compressor delay. So this unit will get down, shut off, regardless of what you're doing, whether your light bulb is on or not. If that compressor hasn't been off for 3 minutes, that AC unit is not going to allow the compressor to kick back in. So what happens is you're getting more of a rise in your box or your trailer or whatever you're using for a cooler, because what happens is that compressor can't start. So that's given me some grief with the trailer I've been building, because I haven't used these newer air conditioning units. I've used older stuff. I mean, the refrigerant is that much better. I mean, it might burn a hole in the ozone layer, but it works way better. So basically, you plug your air conditioner in to a 120 power supply. This becomes a control unit. It's very simple to build. This could be a 120 plug housing you wire up that powers the light bulb. But these things are cheap. You can get these things for under $20. I think you can buy them for $7 bucks. These STC 3008. You need the 2 sensors and the 2 relays. And what happens is you trick it into heating the light bulb that basically tricks your air conditioning into running below that 60 degrees. I will get back to programming on this. I got to look it up because it took me a while to figure it out. But this unit's for either heating or cooling, or it can do cooling and cooling or heating and heating. The big trick is the one side is the rise and the one side's the fall, but they're so close you really can't tell, so it does get a little confusing. I'll do a full video, because I mean all I could find was one video. It was very confusing as to how to set this unit. A lot of stuff in Russian and Pakistani, but other than that, it's not that hard to set once you figure it out. I'll show you what I have mine set at right now. For instance, I can just put my phone down here. I need my second hand. So, upper is for the left. So 1 and 1 is this side. So my that would be -8. So my evap on the last unit I was testing this on, my evaporator core could get to -8. Now I checked this so that I don't see frost in my evaporator. Evaporators will get very cold and they won't even show frost because there's enough airflow over them and there's no humidity, and you can run it down that low. My big cooler I run at -5, and I think I run my room at -1. This all comes into factor when you have a delay, like I was talking about on the light bulb. You have a delay with the light bulb. Your room, you're circulating air in there. So an analog gauge is critical. My analog gauge is probably 10 feet from my air conditioner. And I have a fan that circulates air in my big cooler. The reason being is that these all work in conjunction with one another so that you could get those set goals. I want it below 30, I want it below 40 and above 32. I'm happy where this cooler runs. It's an older older AC unit. It's impeccable. It runs mint. It's R22 refrigerant. And we'll get into some refrigerant issues that I've experienced recently as well. But you set these things. I'm going to do a video on how to set these because there isn't that much information out there. But that'll be a separate video. This is going to be your cheapest route to go as far as a controller. They're both set for cold. I'm trying to think about it. So this would be the hot side, but so I want it to shut off at -8 because anything below that -8 factor on my evap would start to freeze, allow a freeze up. Anything above, you want it to run all the time, so I have it at 3.4. This side was set at -2 and -4, so that would keep me in the happy medium. Just because it's -2 and -4 in that room, my analog gauge can be on the opposite side, and the entire box is still only at or not even minus, it might be at 32 degrees, for instance. Because there's enough air circulation in there that you can get that type of temperature. But to reach that type of temperature, you have to set your controls that low. So I will get back a full video on how to program this thing because I had to pull my hair out with that. But yeah, it's easy to do. So I'll show you, I don't know if I can do up a drawing, and I'll show you the power supply, and I'll show you I'll do something crude drawing. My shop looks like a bit of a ghetto here now, but I'll show you how to draw it up, and I'll post that on the end of this as well. So check back soon for the how to program the STC 3008. Well, don't claim to be an artist. So STC basically laid out. I'll show it. So we have our 120 power coming in. Black into number 1, white into number 2. White out of number 2 to your light bulb. Green can just go directly to your light bulb. Black comes in and it goes all the way over to number 7. From number 7 there's a jumper from 8 to 9, and then 10 is your black out to the light bulb. So how this works is power comes in, the sensor parameters are met. Sensor 1 I always use in my evap. Sensor 2 I always use in my room. Power has to power these relays for them to work. Out of power comes into 7, leaves 8 into 9 to power that relay. Out of 9 into 10 to power the light bulb. So both of these parameters are met. Gets to say minus 10 on your evap core. I don't care what your temperature settings are. You can argue all you want with me. I've built enough coolers to know. They're met. This will run. The power will be on. This parameter is met. The power will be coming out of there. This shuts off. It'll shut off this relay. This shuts off. There's still power to this, but this shuts off because the parameters are met. My room's at, say, 32 degrees, and it shuts off to meet those requirements. So it's exactly what I have going on here. The black comes into here. Here's my black coming in. Here's my green. This is just jumper. This green is just a jumper wire. This green here is just a jumper wire from this is from 8 to 9. So black in, out into number 7. Green out of 8 into number 9. Black out of there into my extension cord to power my light bulb. White just comes out and passes right through. It's your neutral. Earth, neutral, power. These are your sensor wires, like it shows there. I mean, I'm not much of an artist, but as long as these parameters are met, you are going to have success, and you can play around with the temperature settings. I will get back to how to set those, but it's probably going to be in a few days. Start ordering these STC. They seem to work pretty good.